What's good, YouTube? What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Friday Night Sports Talk. I'm here with one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Mr. Socrates Palmer Jr., and we have a special guest today. We have the Iceman, John Scully. How are you guys doing today? Happy New Year.
Everything's great. Great. All good. All good.
Happy New Year. I think it's today or tomorrow the cutoff.
You know, I was just about to ask that. You beat me to it. I think today is the cutoff. Because after today, you can't say Happy New Year. You can't be saying Happy New Year at the end of January or in the middle of February.
Hey, can I tell you something? I never say Happy New Year. I've never told anyone Happy New Year in my life. I've never said it. I don't care about New Year's. People are so happy and they're going down the street and they're high-fiving each other. I'm like, man, the date changed, man. Come on.
It's true. It's just another day. That is so true. Let me ask you a question before we move on. Have you ever watched the show Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I know what it is, but I've maybe watched a clip of it.
Okay.
But I know I've seen some clips. They're funny. It's Larry David, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine he probably talks about stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a whole episode dedicated to it.
Really?
Like, the lady says Happy New Year, and it's like the end of January. It's like, the statute of limitations is all like it's a whole episode about it.
Yeah.
It's like Happy New Year. It's like Happy New Year.
That's funny.
Yeah. So glad to have you on, John. I'm an Iceman. Let's call you Iceman. We know I told Saga I wanted to have you on because next week is a big fight with your guy, fighting Callum Smith, and we wanted to hear your thoughts. How's training camp going, and things of that nature.
Well, let me just say this, and I think I told you this last time. let me reiterate it for. I go, with all due respect, whatever you ask me, I'm gonna say everything's going great. So,
okay,
let's just get that right up front.
Okay,
everything is going great.
Gotcha. No insider information. Okay. Well, I mean,
that makes sense. You're not going to say,
Well, it always amused me. I think these thoughts. I was at a press conference when I fought Michael Nunn, as a matter of fact, and we were at the press conference, and I remember I was on the podium, and the guy said to me, "How do you feel about the fight, John?" And I went, What kind of question is that? Like, what do you think, man? Like, what do you think I'm going to say? The fight's in 3 days from now. I'm ready. What else am I going to tell you? I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to tell you anything other than what you expect me to tell you. I feel great. I'm ready to go. It's a big opportunity. I want to thank my parents. I want to thank Foxwoods. You know what I mean? I want to thank Budweiser Beer for the mat. And, thank you for everything, and,
let me ask you a question real quick. Are you one of the guys that would say you were in the best shape of your career that day? Like, I'm in the best part.
Man, can you imagine? Like, I remember I was at, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Nunn or who it was, but I fought somebody and they were like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I remember I went, really? Like, you're in the best shape of your life? So you've been a pro for 9 years. It took you 9 years to decide to start training hard. I said, what are you talking about? Like, shouldn't you be in the best shape of your life every fight? I mean, come on, man. Like it really. And I think a lot of guys, like I'd say one of the boringest thing. I don't know if it's most boring or boringest. Whatever.
Flash knockdown.
Technical difficulties.
Give Ice the standing 8. Does that even exist anymore?
Huh?
Does the standing 8 kind of exist?
Yeah.
It still does, right? Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, real quick, while Iceman comes back, because he had difficulty a little before. He couldn't hear me. I had to jump off and jump back on while we was waiting a whole hour for you to come on. So I don't know, hopefully
an hour.
Okay, I'm exaggerating, but the people that come and watch us normally know that you're always late. So A matter of fact, let me drop it for D Free. D Free's in there. You know,
Whoa.
quick,
Hey,
let me
yo.
shout out.
You gonna drop it for D free? Hey, yo.
Hey, wow, come on, man.
Yo.
You're so immature, bro. Yo, Skywalker, salute to you, Skywalker. William Old School, salute William Old School. D Free, Opulent LD TV was good, bro. Salute to you, my man, Mr. Shelton, with the woo. He's in here. Salute to you, Mr. Shelton, and everybody else that's watching. I guess we're having technical difficulties with Iceman. Let me see. It still shows that he's there, but he's not. I don't know what's going on. Iceman, can you hear us? Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I think you just call him Ice. Because I hear Iceman, I think of like, Maverick.
There he goes.
I'm gonna start
Hello?
calling you Maverick. I'm
Yeah,
gonna start calling you Maverick. You call him Iceman again.
Hello.
yeah.
Yo.
He can't hear us. Can you hear us? Yeah, it's the same thing that happened. Let me jump off, jump back on.
Jump on. Ice, can you hear me? I can hear you.
Can you guys hear us?
Okay, I hear you now. Yep.
I
Sock,
can hear you.
Can
Yes.
you hear Sock?
Yo,
No,
yo.
I'm not hearing him.
Sock,
Yo.
you may have to go out and come back in. I can hear Sock, but he can't hear you. It's weird. I don't know what's going on because you dropped off. It was weird, but
Like in the middle of my story.
yeah, like right in the middle, it just dropped you. I was like, oh shit.
Uh-huh.
Hold on, Sock. He's gonna come back in. I'll let him back. Yeah, that was weird. Like, and that happened early on before that. So I don't know if it's on your end or what. Hold on, let me see. Can you hear Sock?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hear.
Okay. Take
All right.
two.
Take two.
So-
All right, go. So sorry about that, Ice.
Yeah.
Sock was making fun of me because I called you Iceman, so I'm just gonna say Ice. So go ahead.
So
you
what was? Well, I don't even remember what I was saying now. Like,
you okay? You mentioned Michael Nunn, and then you said, "Oh, the funniest thing is it, or the dumbest, most boring thing?"
most boring.
Because we were talking about fighters saying that they're in the best shape
Cliches,
of their life.
fighter cliches about
Well,
them
yeah,
being in shape.
like the biggest one has always been like when I'm in the best shape of my life. And it's like, why weren't you in the best shape of your life last time? Like, well, why weren't you in the best shape of your life the last 20 fights you had? What took this to, what did it take for this to have to be the one to bring all of that out of you? Were you slacking all those other times? You weren't training as hard as you can? Because when I think of guys like Marvin Hagler, Marvin was known for his unbelievable dedication. Like, there was no such thing as the best shape of my life. He's always in the best shape of his life. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't get in better. Like Artur couldn't get in better shape than he is. So he would never tell you, like, I'm in the best shape of my life. Because in his mind, that would mean I wasn't trying hard before. And that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, I try hard all the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the opponent.
Right?
Right,
Oh, not at all. No,
right.
no. I was just, matter of fact, just like 3 days ago, I was talking to him. Sometimes we sit by the ring after we train and we just talk about stuff, and as like a fighter to fighter. And I don't know if I told you the story last time, but when he beat Joe Smith for the title, they fought on a Saturday night. He beat Joe Smith for the WBO title. They unified the 3 titles. And so he wins the fight. He goes home Sunday. I believe he took Monday off. And then Tuesday morning at like 6 a.m, he's in the gym, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Hitting he does this thing he does with sledgehammers where he beats on these tires on the wall. He just beats on them for 3 minutes at a time. He does like 10 rounds, 3 minutes a round. And he was doing that 7 a.m. So he had to get up at 6. and he's doing that in the gym 2 days after the fight with Joe Smith. And I'm like, I was kind of laughing. I say, that's not normal. Like, he goes, what do you mean? I go, you're the only one who does that. Like, nobody does that. And he goes, and he's just like, it's just, I don't even think about it. Like, that's just what I do. You know what I mean? And it's not even like a concentrated effort on his part to do it. He's not even thinking about it. It's just like it's like when you get up in the morning, the very first thing you do is go to the bathroom. That's one of the first things he does is train. And so he has a different mentality than most human beings.
Do you think that comes from just that old Soviet style of training? Is that he's that regimented, or is that personal?
Islam, 100%.
Okay.
His religion.
His religion.
His religion wouldn't allow for anything less. He's when people say you're devoted, like to a religion, this man is devoted. Like that's what makes him who he is. That's why he is who he is. That's why he's so successful. That's why he's in such great shape. That's why he can fight as well as he does at such an advanced age. He's living proof. He's the perfect example of what it can do for you. And he's, like I say, I mean, it's not like a lot of guys most guys, the vast majority of guys, including myself, if I got up 2 days after a championship fight and was training at 7 a.m, right, in the gym on film, I would show everybody. I'd make sure everybody knew it. Right? The whole world would know, right? Artur didn't show anybody. Like, somebody was there and they filmed them like from behind a pole. Like, you know what I mean? They were, he didn't care. It wasn't something special for him to film. You know what I mean? To him, it's like, well, it's just training. We're just working out. Like, what does that mean? Like, yeah, but it's 48 hours after you just won the world title and defended 2 more. Well, I mean, this is what I do. Like this, and that's just his mentality, 100%.
I got a guy. I'm sorry. There's somebody from Saudi Arabia tuning in. He says, "Mr. Scully, our day begins before prayer at dawn."
Yeah,
so I guess he's, I'm assuming he's also a Muslim. I'm assuming as well.
I'm sure. Yeah. His Arthur's up and at him, man. Like he even like a couple weeks ago, he's like, I'm a late sleeper. I'm up late hanging out, and he's like, John, Tuesday, you meet me at the gym Tuesday early. Yeah, okay. He goes, okay, 7:00. I'm like, 7. he's like, yeah, like, 7. I go, well, that would mean I'd have to leave at 6. Like, he goes, yeah. I go, all right. And when I go and I meet him at the gym, but it's just I do it. It's just funny to me. Like, it's just funny because it's funny to me because I don't see too many fighters like him. Like, and I should him. You would think, right? You would think world champions are dedicated to the sport like B-Hop was. You would think they would all be like that. And other than B-Hop and him and Artur, I don't know a lot of guys that were, Hagler, Marlon Starling was like that when he was training. There's a few guys, but it's not a common thing. Like, it's not a common thing by any. I know guys. I told you this last time, I'm sure. I know guys, world champions, super talented fighters, and if they fight January 30th, hypothetically, January 30th, you will not see them in the gym again until their manager calls them and tells them they have a fight. And I mean, I know guys specifically. I can tell you, I won't, but I can tell you their names. Like, I know these guys. They will not be in the gym. They will not come by to say hello. They will
Mm.
not come by to hit the bag for 5 minutes. They will not come to a gym until there's a fight coming up. And over a period of time, that's going to be a problem.
I see. And then it's crazy. Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask. I mean, we probably asked this before, is that you told the story, of his last fight and, not his last fight with Smith. And a couple of days later, he's there, doing these training methods. But, he hasn't fought since last January. You think the inactivity, is gonna hurt him, or has he's been in the gym since, the ending of his last fight?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because see, normally guys, when they take long periods of time off, that means they take long periods of time off. But he hasn't done that, and he was, he was training for a fight. If you remember, he had the tooth problem. He had the infected tooth. So he was, he was training. So he's never stopped. He's never stopped. Yeah, like he doesn't work out because he boxes. It just helps that he does. Like he works out because you're supposed to be in great shape, and that's just that's just who he is and how he is.
Do you think at this age, less is more for him? That that is there that fear of like, okay, one day he's going to be your typical 40-year-old. Like at this stage of his career, is it best for him to kind of kick it back a notch, or
he doesn't. He's still a beast. Like he's still the intense pressure and the funny thing is, like him kicking it back a little bit would still be more than what most guys put forward. You know what I mean? So for him, I suppose in his mind there might be some type of natural adjustments, but I haven't noticed anything like dramatic or anything like that. Like he's still that guy. Like when it comes time to put the work in and sparring or whatever it is, he's gonna outwork you, and he thrives on that. He plays. I think I told you he plays with his strength coach. He plays handball with the guy, and it's a tough sport. You play handball for a half hour. That's a rough run, and and the guy's very good, and he plays against the guy, and they beat each other. You know what I mean? He beats the guy, and the guy beats him, and and they're very competitive with each other. So he's always got the push the envelope mentality, and I think that's it's a beautiful thing.
is he the first fighter from Eastern Europe that you've ever trained or been around like this intense?
I've been around a few guys over the years, but never anybody with his mentality. Like, and the funny thing is, I might have told you this last time, but when I come, one thing about Artur's training camps, he will have sparring partners from all over the world. Like it's unbelievable. Like they can't just get 5 guys from the United States. They got to get a guy from England, 2 from Australia, 1 from China. They bring them from all over, and he, so I'm learning about a lot of these guys from different parts of the world, and he's not the only one. like they have these guys also have that mentality. I'm running across some of these guys, and I remember this one guy in particular, and I was a little scared of him, to be honest with you. Like we're driving in the car, and I'm just thinking, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't want to say anything wrong and have this guy get mad at me, and all of a sudden we're out in the woods somewhere, because the stories he was telling me about his homeland. I'm just looking at him like, really? Because he was telling me some wild stuff like it was normal, And I was
What country was he from?
Croatia.
Croatia. Okay.
And he's telling me these stories from from the previous week. Like goes because he's a bouncer at a store at a bar, and he's telling me stuff, and I'm going, this is not normal, man. Like, this is not normal behavior in America. Like, we can, that's crazy. like America, New York is crazy, and Chicago's crazy, and LA's crazy, but these dudes are crazy. Like, and he's telling me, like I there was one guy in the gym, and he tells me, I don't like this guy. I don't like him. And he goes, why? And he goes, he's always laughing and joking. I go, yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, he's always laughing and joking. What a bad guy. And he didn't realize I was clowning him, but and I go, so I said to him, I said, yeah, I said, I guess in Croatia, he'd have to stay in the house. And he goes, he didn't even break stride. He goes, no. We go in and we get him. I go, oh, okay. He didn't even hesitate. He said, no, we go get him. And then we said, I was talking about, somehow in the conversation, welfare came up. And I say, yeah, the welfare would take care of that. And he goes, what is welfare? What is this? I go, I thought all countries had welfare. I didn't know. I know we were the only one. And I'm like, what? I go, when the government gives you money, and he's like, he looked at me like, no. He goes, no, we don't. He goes, in my country, you either, if you don't have it, either your family gives it to you, you steal it, or you kill somebody for it. And I go, oh, all right. And then so just at that point, I said, okay, I'm dealing with a different level of human here. He grew up in a completely different system, and some of the jokes may not roll out the same way. So,
wow.
so I didn't conversate with him as much as I would have liked.
Wow, that's crazy. I got a guy that wants to come up and ask you a question, but before that, I want to ask you, what do you think of Callum Smith? Like, the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good fighter. He's got nice skills, and he's got some nice size. Well, it's funny. Like, he has nice size, but I don't think he can have such nice size against Artur. Like, when you see him against Canelo, he looks like, Klitschko. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, how big is this freaking guy? I didn't realize how small Klitschko was. I mean, how small Canelo was.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little different situation.
Oh, he dropped off again. Hold on.
Let me fix that.
You're back? All right. He dropped off for a minute. Can you hear us?
1 second.
It happened again. Try going back out. Try you going out and back in.
Hold on.
I don't know if he could.
Come on, bring me back. Let's see.
I hear you fine.
Huh? I can hear him, but he can't hear. He can't hear us. He can't hear us. It's something. It's something on his end.
Maybe the Wi-Fi at the hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he can hear us. Let me.
I guess.
You want me to jump off and jump back in? Well, he just jumped off. Okay, let's see if he jumps back in. But yeah, so I guess we're going to talk about Callum Smith. BBO was here. He was going to. Oh, there he goes. Let's see.
Hey.
You back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool, what happened? My alarm keeps going off, and I guess every time the alarm goes off, it kicks me off.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What was I saying? I was saying something.
We're talking about Callum Smith.
Yeah. So I think he's. I thought he was this big monster, but I didn't really take into account the fact that he's probably not going to be nearly as big appearing like he was with Canelo. So that's a big difference. Yeah. I think he's tricky, and he's game, and he's sneaky, and we got to be on our game all the time. We got to really keep an eye on this guy, and I think my gut feeling. I've always been big on body language and all that type of stuff, mentality, and I'm able to read people pretty good, I think. And one thing I think about him, like I see a certain, I don't know what if the word is passiveness, or it's like he like Canelo exposed it a bit. Canelo exposed it a bit, probably more than he should have, for being such a small guy.
Yeah.
And I think he drained him, and I think he took a lot of the fight out of him just by being aggressive and being hands up and putting mental pressure on. And obviously Canelo's a great fighter and all of that, but he doesn't put the pressure on, psychologically, mentally, physically, the way Artur does. There's no way. There's two worlds.
It's like, and that was at 68, right? When he fought.
Was
Say
that
it again?
When Canelo fought Callum, that was at 68.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, 68.
And he broke his arm, right? He broke his arm with the punches to his arm, I think.
Right. Yeah, crazy stuff. Yeah.
And just I know it's kind of like out of the order of what we've been talking about Callum Smith, but how did you guys link up? Like how did you wind up being in Arthur's camp? I don't think we asked you that in the last interview.
No.
What happened was he wanted somebody in the camp who had previous professional fight experience, at least a certain level, and had also been a coach. And I knew Russ Amber, who's if you know him, he does cuts for like Usyk and all those guys, and he owns Rival Products,
Very nice man.
Yeah. So Russ, and I knew Mark Ramsey also, but I knew Russ better. But Mark knew me, and Mark asked Russ what he thought, and Russ said, "Oh, definitely it would work. It would work out well." And so Mark called me, and I came up here March of 2016 for the first time, and basically for I guess a tryout interview type of thing. And we hit the mitts the first day, and I always remember I showed him a particular move, a maneuver, and he still to this day does it. He really, he really loves it. He likes all that kind of stuff, and we just seemed to hit it off very well for the first day, and that's it. I've been here ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And his English is better than what he gives up on TV, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. I've never. I mean, in the very beginning, it was a little rough sometimes, but no, I never have any problem having conversation with him ever. No, he the same thing I say with his training and his pride and all that. He made it a point. He went out. He hired a lady to teach him English. He a lot of fighters, not knocking them, but I'm saying Duran, these guys, they never bothered English, it just never came up, but Artur was like, no, I gotta learn English. I gotta learn this. And and that's what he did.
Nice. So I mean, you told us this before, but I'm gonna ask. I mean, we know that Artur doesn't really watch boxing, right? He does like if you asked him who Benavidez was, he's not gonna know who Benavidez was, right? Like
No.
But with that being said about Benavidez and Bivol, would you say after this fight, of course if you win, or when you win, is the Bivol fight close to being, done?
Honestly, I don't know a lot about the business end of things. I've never asked them anything about Bivol. I never asked because I'm one of these people. I don't even like to talk like some people, and it might maybe you guys, but some people I know a lot of boxing people. They can talk for an hour about a fight, and a lot of the conversation will be about, the purse guarantee and the options and the network and the zone and stuff. I don't know any of that. Like, I don't know anything. When people say like the zone, like I don't even know who is on the zone. I don't know. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you one fighter that's on the zone, or I guess it's the zone and PBC. That's the two ones.
The two platforms, I guess. Yeah. Because,
okay, yeah. So they're like they have different fighters.
Yeah, they have, and there's different. So like Golden Boy and then Matchroom, they're pretty much on the zone, and then
what's the network?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. I didn't even know that. So, because I don't, like I've never been more uninterested in anything than all that kind of stuff, and I just like when Spence and Crawford, and they wouldn't make the fight. I said, man, they're gonna do the same thing Mayweather and Pacquiao did, and by the time it happened, nobody. I mean, I didn't care at all. Even a little bit, I didn't care what happened. Mm-hmm. And by the time this fight came, I was glad they made it, but I was getting ready to give up on that one too. If they kept fooling around, So, but now they got Mayweather and Pacquiao fighting again. You see that?
Is that legit?
Yes.
Is that going to be a real fight or exhibition?
I heard it's an exhibition.
I heard it was an exhibition. Yeah, but to me that makes it even worse, because even if it was a real fight, it wasn't going to be exciting, right? So an exhibition, they're not. Come on, that's like I just don't understand why they have to do this. Like, why do they have to rob people who don't know better? Because I know people who excited to see it. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now it cut for a minute. Yeah.
They'll be so excited to see this, right? And I'm like, man, it's like it's horrible. It's horrible that you're selling this fight to people just because they'll pay, because they don't know any better. They really don't know any better. And and it's a terrible thing. Everybody, it's almost like it's a contest to see who can rob people out of the most money. You know what I mean? Like Jake Paul and this one and that one, and now you got the guy, the wrestler or whatever, MMA, and he's fighting
Joshua. They fight
Joshua. Come on.
Francis.
In March.
They're giving two of the biggest paydays in history to a guy who doesn't box. Yeah. I mean, our sport is really, really, really whacked out. Man, we're giving big paydays to people who aren't even in it. I mean, it's so weird.
But to Francis Ngannou's credit, out of the two guys, he's the one that took it serious. Because Tyson Fury, I mean, he looked like he was trading on fish and chips and Guinness.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure but that's what I mean. That's what I'm sure happened. That's why it went the way it did, because Fury figured he had this joker in front of him and he was going to play with the guy, and probably by the third round he realized, man, this guy's here for real. This guy's for real, and it was too late to do anything about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think Joshua's going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm expecting Joshua to get him out of there. In my opinion, that's what I think.
Look at. I hope so. Right, we can't have these guys coming in here, and I mean, it's a hot, like they're gonna push it one day, and they're gonna do too much, and it's gonna backfire.
Yeah.
I mean that was a backfire already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Embarrassing.
That was a horrible look. Horrible.
And Fury, is one of the champions of the world, heavyweight champion of the world, which is, when you talk about boxing, it's always about heavyweights, right? Heavyweight champions. And he went in there and he just embarrassed the sport, in my opinion.
For sure. The heavyweight champion of the world, man. That's terrible.
Right. The lineal champ. I mean, despite no disrespect to Usyk, but when you think who the heavyweight champion is, you thought Tyson Fury.
Right. For sure. for sure.
Tom has mentioned, that it's gonna be a year off since Arthur's last fight. Um, Everyone is anticipating him and Bivol. How do you guys? I mean, is it hard? Is it easy to keep Arthur on task and focus on the guy in front of him as opposed to thinking of the quote unquote big fight against
Oh
Bivol?
yeah. No, like I say, everything in that regard comes down to his mentality as a human being. It would be like honestly, I mean, this is how deep I'm saying it is. Like he would consider it a disrespect to Allah
Mm.
to focus on something else other than the guy in front of me. Like if I'm fighting um, Callum Smith, but I'm thinking about whoever Bivol, Allah would be mad at me. Like in his mind, that's what he's thinking. You know what I mean? And so Arthur doesn't play around, man. Like there's certain things you can't play around with him about, and that's one of them. 100%.
Do they know each other? Him and Bivol?
Yes, they actually sparred with each other as amateur. They were like in an Olympic camp, I guess, and so they know each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I know another guy that he's familiar with is Usyk. I always thought that would be a really intriguing fight. Do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah,
Do you think
yeah. They
Usyk has
they fought
outgrown
three
him?
times as
Do you
amateur.
think? Do
They
you think
fought
at
three
this
times.
stage?
Arthur beat him once, and Usyk beat him twice.
Okay.
Uh, and I don't know if it was the World Championships or Olympics, what it was, Russian Championship. But I do know Arthur dropped him in the fight that he beat him in. He dropped Usyk.
Okay.
So, but long
Do
time.
Do you ever see that as a possibility, or do you think Usyk has kind of outgrown him?
Yeah, I think he's too big, because Arthur still makes 175 without tremendous difficulty, and this guy, Usyk's a big guy. I've met him a couple times, and yeah,
Mm.
he's a big man for sure.
Okay. Um, I mean, that's all I got as far as the fights. I mean, there's some fights tomorrow. Virgil Ortiz is coming back tomorrow. Any interest in that? Like, in his comeback?
To be honest, I've been in the hotel the whole time, and I don't even know who he's fighting. I have no idea.
Yeah, he's fighting a guy I don't even know about either, to be honest. He's
Yeah,
fighting what's his I mean, what's this guy's name? Frederick Lawson. He's 30-3.
Right.
yeah,
It,
yeah. I'm,
it,
I'm
it
not really familiar with him, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
seems like a soft tune-up. He's fighting at 54 for the first time.
for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that sickness. Um, I mean, you would expect him to look impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, whoever is the matchmaker for that, you would expect them to get somebody that is a winnable fight, right? You don't want to put him in there with a dog, in his first fight at
Hmm.
154. He hasn't fought in 17 months.
Right.
It's a long
yeah.
time. So you would expect him to go out there. He's the main event. The undercard, not too. There's this guy, Curiel. He's fighting Elias Diaz. He's a Golden Boy guy. He's an up and coming guy. I think he's in the top 10 now. He fights at welterweight. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Right.
The Skywalker, a guy that I know here on YouTube, did a nice interview with him. It's pretty good. He's up and coming. He's looking to get big fights too at 147.
Right.
But in that, it's the first kind of big card of the year. Not much. And nothing there. Next week is a big fight. It's your fight. Your fighter. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
I mean,
I
who? Let me ask you this: is there just strictly off the top of your head, if you know, are there any fights scheduled for? Usually in the summertime in June, they do a fight in New York City at some point.
yeah,
for
they
the Puerto
usually
Rican
do on
Day.
the Puerto Rican Day parade. Yeah.
Right. Do you know
So
anything about that yet?
nothing's announced, but I did see that Xander Zayas was supposed to fight February 16th at the Garden, and he was supposed to fight Teixeira and they just took that fight off, and they're saying they're looking for June of this year. So I'm assuming they're going to put him on the Puerto Rican Day, which is what he did last year. He fought on the TO card, which was the weekend of the Puerto Rican parade. So I'm assuming Xander and Teixeira will be on that card. But nothing is set. But they usually do have a card. Top Rank usually does it.
Oh yeah, because Berlango fought this year. Berlango fought in June.
Yeah, but he didn't fight on the Puerto Rican Day parade weekend, or he didn't fight in New York.
Yeah. He fought at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but I don't think it was Puerto Rican Day weekend. The Puerto Rican Day weekend fight was the T.O. and Josh Taylor fight.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah. Whatever weekend it was whatever weekend it was in June. I don't know.
Yeah, he did fight. He fought. I think he fought the Irish guy quickly. I think he was.
Exactly.
Yeah, he fought quickly. Yeah, but I don't know if that was in the Garden. Was it? I don't. I got to look that up. I don't think it was in the Garden.
No, I was there. I was there.
Yeah. Okay. All right, but I don't think it was a Puerto Rican week because I know me and Sock, we were at the Josh Taylor fight. And the Puerto Rican Day parade was the next day, and Xander Zayas was on that fight as well.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm asking because I'm doing a big boxing get together on a weekend in New York City in this summer and probably in June, and I did one in June on the same day of that fight. I did it on the 24th, and then a bunch of us, I ran Barkley and a bunch of other guys, we went to the fight that night. Okay. And so I'm trying to see if there's a fight this summer so I can schedule my event the same day.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you
know. That's a great thing.
I don't think with anything yet, but for sure there'll be something. I mean, it's usually every year they do one.
Right. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Are me and Sock invited to this?
Oh yeah, man.
Even if we're not, we're gonna crash it.
Yeah, no, it's Listen, I mean, do you know about the one I did in June 24?
Yes. Well, that's something is really cool. How you keep, getting your former colleagues together, guys that haven't seen each other in years. Yeah. How long have you been doing that, and how did that come about?
Oh man, I've been doing it for about 10 years, and I'll tell you, well, two things happened. I was at the Hall of Fame in Canastota in 2011, and Too Sharp Johnson was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame the next day. So they have the autograph signing show, and there's a dais there, like a platform where the fighters stand, and I remember I was up there it was me, him, Kevin Kelly, Shambe Mitchell, and Michael Moore. And we were all like the class of 88. And, we're talking, and somebody remember there's a video of it on YouTube. And we're talking, and I was saying to myself, man, like this is 5 of us. Imagine if I could get like 50 of us, this would be so crazy. And if I get 50 of these guys, because all we're talking about is this fight in 1987 and this training camp in 1988, things like that. And then a few months later, I was at a show in Brooklyn, New York, and at Gleason's, and same thing. A bunch of guys were there, and same thing. I'm like, man, if I could get these guys together. So I just said, why not? I'll just get them together. So I sent out a notice on text messages and Facebook. And I said, look, wherever the date was, I said, let's meet in New York City at this spot at, 8:00 or whatever. And a whole bunch of people showed up. And after that, I just started connecting with people. And I've done them so far I've done them in Detroit. I've done them in Los Angeles. I've done them in Las Vegas. I've done them at Foxwoods, at Mohegan Sun, Los Angeles. I've had Tommy Hearns was there. Sugar Ray Leonard was at one. Roy Jones, Montel Griffin, Lamar Brewster, Mike McCallum, Alex Ramos. I can't even think of all the guys who have been there at these events. And, I've done like 15 of them, 20 of them. and so it's just turns out really good. The one I did last year on June 24, we had Tim Witherspoon was there, and Marlon Starling was there, and Iron Barkley, Junior Jones, just Pedro Vieira. I mean, just tons of people. It was a really, really special day for sure.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned two things. I was going to segue into something that I know you're very passionate about. You
Yeah.
mentioned Canastota, and you mentioned Marlon Starling.
Yeah.
Now, me, you and I have been Facebook friends for many years, and I've always seen you post, the injustice that Marlon Starling is not in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Um, but you haven't said it on our platform. Why should Marlon Starling be in Canastota?
Can you imagine? These psychopaths haven't even put him on the ballot. He's not even on the ballot. Do you know how insulting that is? And look, I don't want to call people out, but
Call him
eventually, if
out.
I have to, I will.
Call him out. Fuck him.
Well, I mean, just people. I don't want to insult fighters who got inducted, and
Yeah.
it's not their fault. Maybe
Right.
deep down they know they don't belong there before he does too.
Yeah.
But they're not going to turn it down. So I get it. But there are guys on that ballot and guys who are in the Hall of Fame who do not have the record that Marlon Starling has. Now, that's just the way it is, period. I could give you I know guys who are in the Hall of Fame, and you could look at their record and you could find maybe two or three names, and you go, yeah, he fought a couple big names, man. He lost to one of them. He beat two of them. He's in there. Now, Marlon, he beat Lloyd Hunnigan. After Lloyd Hunnigan beat Donald Curry for the title, he beat Mark Breland when nobody was going to beat Mark Breland. Like when Mark Breland was favored over everyone on earth, it was a huge, unbelievable upset, and he beat him. He outfought him. He took it to him and he outfought him. He beat Floyd Mayweather Sr. twice. He beat Tommy Ayers. He beat Kevin Howard. He beat Lupe Aquino. I mean, you just think of all the guys. I mean, it's just Simon Brown when Simon Brown was undefeated. Jose Barrett when Jose Barrett was undefeated. I mean, Marlon beat like 7 guys whose records at the time was like 24-0, 22-0, 23-0, and all nationally televised fights. And his losses all came, close fights to Michael Nunn, Donald Curry, guys like that. Marlon Starling, if you look at his record, you will see that there is none of the current era guys who came up and had to go down the road he had to go. Not what's his name? Tim Bradley, not Porter. Porter fought. Well, Porter fought tough, but what's his name? Just the majority of them. Back in the day, guys. I always say Marlon Starling and Donald, Marlon Starling and Marvin Hagler. They had to come up fighting elite guys to prove themselves as contenders. Now, you don't have to even fight an elite guy until you're fighting for a world title. Like your first elite guy will be a world title fight. You're maneuvered into that.
Yeah.
Before, think about this. Before Starling won the title in 1987, before he had even won the title, he had already fought Donald Curry twice. He had fought Lupe Aquino, who was a world champion. Simon Brown, who was undefeated. Jose Barrett, who was undefeated. I mean, just a list of guys. Tommy Ayers, who was undefeated. So just a laundry list of top guys. And but we don't live in that world now. And you have people like I have a guy. He'll tell me like, oh well, I keep these records, and he's got the history books, and When this guy fought that guy, he was only ranked 13th. I said, listen, I don't care what Tommy Ayers was ranked when Marlon beat him. Marlon beat him when he was like 24-0. Tommy Ayers was in a high level professional guy. Like I don't care what status he had at that. That's the end of it. I mean, you're not gonna nitpick and give me reasons why you can't give him full credit for this. I would put Marlon's record up against 20 guys who are already in there, and Marlon's record will overcome every time.
Does he still live in Connecticut?
Yeah, he lives over not that far from me, really.
I think he made the ballot recently, though. I think he's on it.
No,
I thought I saw that he was on it.
You probably saw that I want him on it,
Okay.
but he wasn't on it.
Not even. Wow.
But I know you've always been very vocal, and the people that they let in, because it seems like we may ruffle some feathers, but woke has hit Canastota, especially with some female fighters that are getting in. I mean, let's face it. I mean, they're just they're known in their own house.
I have nothing against female fighters.
Let's keep it a buck. I've been around long enough. I'm good.
You're not lying. If you're lying, then they can complain.
Mm-hmm. I know they're growing.
As long as you're not lying, we have nothing to worry about. Right? We can't offend people with the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. There are fighters, female fighters getting in with records who, if they were a male fighter, wouldn't have a prayer of getting in the Hall of Fame, wouldn't have a prayer. There would be no chance. There would be minus a million to get into the Hall of Fame. And yet there they are walking down and I see, it's not like a knock on women's boxing, but it is what it is. It's a different sport. You're not going to tell me. I could look at the majority of these women and you go, are they in as women or are they in as fighters? Because if they're in just as fighters, none of those women should be in front of Marlon Starling. Now that having them in and him out is an embarrassment to common sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just literal stupidity. And I'm one of these people, best man for the job, right? Black, white, whatever. Best man for the job. At the end of the day, that's who I want, right? It could be 100 black guys, 100 white guys. But if you're the 100 best, then welcome to the team. And, the Hall of Fame is not for people to slide in because they fit a certain group or a criteria. I mean, it's about professional fighters and champions, You're either a Hall of Famer on the level that you're supposed to be or you're not. And I don't like to, insult fighters and stuff, but there's some women in there. I'm like, this is just, I don't want to call them out, but man, this is just terrible. It's terrible that they're in there. And, with that record, and Marlon Starling is not even on the ballot with his. It's some weird stuff.
And it just looks funny because you can tell that they're trying to just appease all agendas and it's like, come on, like it's it's a lot of BS. With that said, props to the guys that got in. Ricky Hatton, who is, say what you will, probably limited, as far as skill wise, but very few people were as big a star in a draw. I mean, Ricky Hatton, just the intro alone, man, with that Blue Moon hit, man, Ricky Hatton, is a bad man, in entertainment.
I kind of disagree with you there. I don't think.
Let's go.
I think Ricky Hatton was a good fighter. He had a few good years, of good moments, but I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame fighter.
But being a big ticket draw, putting asses in seats has to count for something. What do you say, Ice?
Well, see that. Well, excuse me. That's one thing that I learned as a kid from my father about baseball, because baseball was my first love.
Mhm.
And we would talk about the Hall of Fame, and and I'd be like, well, why is that guy in there? I never even heard of him. He's not famous. And he would explain to me, like, it's called the Hall of Fame, but it's not about being famous. It's about being good. So it's like, if you get a guy, hypothetically, I always go work in extremes. If you get a guy that's just literally a club fighter, he's just super average, super local, but they love him. He draws 20,000 seats, right? So they build his record up, and he's 40-0 or whatever. And it's like, all right, should he be in the Hall of Fame because he got these big numbers? and he was very popular because he was in fact famous where he lives and all that, even though he didn't produce the quality of victory. So there's a difference, and I think real fighters, they know, like if I'm in the gym, right? If we're all in the gym, a bunch of us, and we're gonna spar, and hypothetically, like, we're sparring, and there's one guy who's like 18-0, but he's fought a tough group of guys. Like, he's from Philly, he met some iron. And then we got another guy who's 17-0, but his record's been totally built up, like totally built up. It's like, look, I know I don't feel I'm going to have as much problems, even though they got the same record and all that stuff. But I'm not nearly as worried about him as I am about him, because I know he had to try a lot harder to get his record than that guy had to try his. And that's kind of like it is with the Hall of Fame. It's too bad. I mean, it's almost like, or it is like, everybody has their own criteria. You know what I mean? It's not like they tell you, okay, this is what it is. This is who has to be in, and figure it out. They're basically just telling you, just whoever you think, look at the list. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've been on a few Hall of Fames, and I'm not on them anymore, right? And I was on the Connecticut Hall of Fame, which is a big Hall of Fame now. Like, they draw a large crowd at the Mohegan Sun, and Vinny Paz is always there, and Marlon Starling, and it's a big deal. And so I was on the board. They had me on the board. This is about 2 years ago. They had me on the board of directors, or whatever you call it, picking the people to go in. And so I went in, and my first day, I started speaking up. And I'm saying, listen, this isn't right, man. Like, you got this guy in. I go, who is this guy? I've been in this game my whole life. I don't even know who this guy is. I go, you got this guy in. I know who he is, and he doesn't belong there. There's no way. There's no way. And I actually made reference to a guy who, with all on, like, not even exaggerating, on a scale of 1 to 100, the idea that he should be in the Hall of Fame for Connecticut would be about a 6 out of 100, which is basically 0, right?
Yeah.
And I said that to them at the meeting, and apparently the person who submitted him as the and possible inductee was sitting right across from me, and I didn't know it, and I wouldn't have cared anyway. But I'm just saying, I didn't know. And I said, listen, and I talked the way I talk, right?
Yeah.
I thought being on that board, we're in the back room. We're in the back room. So I said to them, I said, listen, you'd have to be a moron to put this guy on the ballot. Like, you'd have to be an idiot, not realizing the lady was sitting right across from me as I was saying that. And but I was honest. I don't care if I knew she was there, I'd have said it, because I said, come on, man, like, this is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that I have to speak out like this.
Mhm.
And so they called me like a week later, and they're like, all right, well, some of the board members are very disappointed in your all right, okay. They go, well, they're going to have a vote, to see if we're going to have a vote next week to see if they keep you on the board. And I go, the guy I was telling me this on the board, I've known him since I was 15 years old. And I said to him, I'm laughing, and I said, are you kidding me? You guys are going to do a vote? I go, listen, let me save you the time. Don't bother with the vote. I don't want to be on your board. You don't have to vote. I give up. I quit. You can keep it, and I let it go. And I said, but remember one thing. You're more upset that I called this person a negative name in a private meeting than the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. And they volunteered somebody for the board for the induction who has no business being in the International Hall of Fame, like zero. And I say, you guys don't care about that. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're more worried about feelings. You're worried about this person's feelings, so they don't have to feel sad. I mean, come on, man. This is insanity what you guys are doing here. And so they all hate me. They all hate me because I wouldn't play nice, but I didn't lose any sleep over whatsoever.
Nice.
Yeah. Michael Moore's also, I think, well deserved as well.
You think he belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I think so. I mean,
even though you don't like him personally,
right? I don't like him personally. I know Ice does. Ice is on that. He's just a weird dude. At least around media. Maybe around his colleagues, he's different.
Who's that?
Michael Moore.
Oh, Michael Moore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Michael Moore.
Oh, yeah. I was actually amateur with Michael. I go back quite a ways with him. He's tough individual to
we've heard stories about Michael
interact with.
Yeah.
We've heard, I don't know.
I mean, look, I'm on Michael's good side, so I don't want to go off that. So whatever your problem is with him, that's your problem.
Stock has a bad experience with him, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Michael's the type of dude, like, you got to really know him, and and he's, he could have moods or whatever, but I try my best not to ever hold that against somebody in terms of like keeping them out because I don't like them.
Yeah,
I don't want. I wouldn't want to do that. That would be wrong of me. And whatever I don't like them about, they'd have way more reason to not like me if that's how I thought. Michael. I mean, it's a tough thing. Like he was, vicious light heavyweight champion. His run through the thing was like Arthur's in a way. You know what I mean? And then he beats Holyfield for the title, and he comes up with, the fight with Burt Cooper, one of the greatest fights ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was literally like Hagler Hearns. You know what I mean? It wasn't because it wasn't Hagler Hearns. That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for what they went through, for him to get up, because if you watch that fight and you go, okay, what's gonna happen? They go, Michael's not getting up from that. There's no way he's getting up from that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people in the Hall of Fame who are less deserving than him. You know what I mean? I would attack them. I would get them out of there first. Yeah. But like I said, I think we need some type of idea that there's got to be a uniform criteria.
Yeah,
there has to be a reason why you're going in. Because I
always thought it should be something like with the resume, the biggest wins, but I never thought of until recently about the attraction and the draw, like how much, so like Sock brought up, I brought up Ricky Hatton, Sock brought up the fact that, he made, he was a big draw in the UK. You know, I
Right.
still don't believe he's a Hall of Fame fighter, but I can
Well,
see what his point is.
on that end, you got to say, does Vinny Paz belong? Because
Well,
I'll say this much: nobody
Mhm.
brought more emotion and desire than that man, right?
And he came off
And
an injury too, right? Which is big because
yeah, he
was he?
broke his neck.
And he
But
came
here's
back
the
and he won
thing.
a title after that, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
But here's the thing. He I was training with him for that fight, right? When he fought for the world title.
Rosenblatt? Is it Rosenblatt?
No, when he beat Gilbert Dele for the junior
Okay.
middleweight title. Now that was a spectacular performance, a beautiful performance, and he ended up breaking his neck right after the fight, like a few weeks later. And I remember I got the call, and I'm like, what? Like this? He just won the fight, and so, but we went back, and I remember I went to his house, and months later or whatever, and he had me lifting weights with him in the basement, the same one like they showed in the movie, and they had us. He showed me how he lifts weights, and and he's freaking just a lunatic with all the stuff he does. His mentality's kind of like Artur when it comes to the physical training. He's not as disciplined as Artur, but when it comes to the actual work, like he's right there. He had some big fights. He's the perfect example of why it's questionable. You can make a case for him, and you can make a case definitely against him. I could give you both of them, and say, man, both of them would make you go, yeah, that's right, he shouldn't be in. Yeah, that's right, he should be in. You know what I mean? Like, so it all depends in the delivery. But one thing I'll say, I've always said this about Vinny. When you say fighters and they say, I'd rather die than lose, right? And I've said that. Lots of fighters have said it. I've said it. Don't stop the fight, no matter what. Let me get killed, right? I realized that we didn't mean that. Like we didn't want to die. We said it because we kind of meant it. You know what I mean? We were just making a point. But I'm telling you, Vinny was that guy. Vinny was that guy. I'll prove it to you. When he fought Roy Jones in 90, they fought in 95. I had told Roy in 92, he knew I knew Vinny. So he would ask me, oh, how's Paz man doing? How's Paz? Yeah, he's all right. He's getting around. He's doing this and that. And I remember one day Roy said to me, I would never want to fight Vinny. He said, I'd be afraid I'd paralyze him. I would never want to fight him. I was just thinking, like, you're never gonna have to worry about it. Like you're never gonna have to come into a situation where you're gonna fight Vinny Paz. Then the fight comes, and they end up fighting each other. So they fight. I don't know if you've ever done this. Watch it. After we hang up, watch the YouTube video. I promise you're gonna see this. Roy stops Vinny, and Vinny's messed up. He's on the ground. He's whatever, and Roy's in the ring walking around, and he starts crying, and he goes over by himself to the ropes, and he puts his head down on the top rope like this, and he was crying, and nobody knew why except me. I was the only one I think that knew. He thought he broke his neck. He thought he hurt him. Yep.
I'm definitely gonna look at that. Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. He put his head down like a baby. And I think it was Fred Levin or Stanley Levin, probably Fred. Fred went over to him. You could see him going over to him, like, "You all right?" Like, because they knew it was unusual. Like this is not the normal response to knocking somebody out. He thought he hurt Vinny.
But Vinny was a great character too.
My point is, Vinny allowed that. When Vinny was trying to get up after getting sledgehammered with one of the most vicious. I don't know if you remember that combination. There have been maybe 3 combinations in history more devastating than that one. What he hit Vinny with, and he clipped him with the uppercut at the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
that'll give you nightmares. And Vinny was trying to get up from that, like literally, and he's telling the referee, "Get off me! Let me fight! Let me fight!" Nobody in the world would have got it. I know world champions and elite guys at 168 who would have been like, all right, I got the point. You know what I mean? I got the point. Right? Vinny was trying to get up like a rabid dog. You know what I mean? Vinny would have fought to the end, man. If anybody, you got Holyfield, you got a few guys. I mean, Vinny had as much heart as anyone on earth. Anyone.
Yeah.
Ever. I promise you that. Ever. I've never seen anyone in my own eyes. I sparred with Vinny plenty of times.
Yeah.
I sparred with him before and after he broke his neck. I've seen him in the gym. I've seen him do his thing. I saw that, and I knew the backstory because when it happened, I remember talking. I said, man, I remember talking to Roy in the gym about this years ago, and he told me he didn't want to fight Vinny because he'd be afraid he would have hurt him. And Vinny didn't care. He did not care. Yeah.
No.
And the fact that Vinny started at lightweight, I remember. I don't know. He might have been either the second to last 15 rounder. I remember when he fought Greg Haugen. They had that rivalry. You know, on NBC. I remember they fought 3 times. I think it was. You know, and having the success that he did. You know, after the injury, and he went up to 54, captured the title. You know, and he was a good character. You know, the fight with Camacho. I mean, Vinny could sell a fight. He if a Martian dropped to this earth right now and he asked me, what's this thing called a Guido? It's tough, you look at Vinny, you show him a picture of Vinny Paz, and boxing is entertainment, so there is a value of that. He was a star of the '80s for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then, for sure.
I see Diego Corrales and Iron Boy Calderon, 2 guys that I think deserve as well. Your thoughts on Chico? Any personal experiences?
Me personally?
Yeah, you and Diego, and any run-ins or any experiences
Corrales?
with him?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Listen, man, I met him. I was in Las Vegas at Pure nightclub in Caesar's Palace, and they did the show The Knockout. Remember The Knockout with Peter Manfredo, Sergio Mora,
The Contender.
The Contender.
A Contender, right.
Yeah.
Contender. They fought that night. And so everybody fought, and they met at Pure. It's called Pure. It's on the roof of the Caesar's Palace. So I remember Hulk Hogan was there, Jackie Callum, Frank Stallone. Everybody was there, and we're just hanging out. Everybody's just hanging out. And I remember I ran into Diego. Now this wasn't that long after he had the fight with Castillo, and I went up to him, and he was so humble and like honored that I even knew who he was. And I'm like, no, man, would you mind if I took a picture? And he's like, yeah, no, that'd be great. Like he wanted to take it more than I did. And so we take it, and then he was in the amateurs with a heavyweight Lawrence Claybay, and I knew that. So I said, man, Clay, right? I said, I see Clay all the time because I was training Lawrence at the time. And he goes, oh, man, Claybay's my boy. And I said, oh, here, I gave him Claybay's number, and they ended up getting in touch with each other. He really, really, I was really impressed with how nice he was. Just a decent guy, the type of guy that you could just walk up to and he would talk to you for an hour for no reason. Just he would just do it, just because you were there and he was there. Yeah.
I was lucky enough. I was around him once when he beat Freitas at the I think it was a Mohegan or Foxwoods.
Yeah, I think it was Foxwoods. Yeah,
Foxwoods, yeah. He was very cool, down there guy.
yeah.
Um, uh, Tragic that he's not around. And Ivan Calderon, a star at the lower weight classes. You know,
He was
uh,
undefeated for a while, right? Like, I mean, um, I think what he ended up with only losing one fight.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
might be right.
Yeah,
Long
because he was undefeated for a long time.
finally beat him,
Yeah.
but I remember going. Let's see, 2011. I was in San Juan, and so I always go check out gyms, and I brought one of my fighters with me, and we went to a gym. It was the Wilfredo Gomez gym, and and he was there. He was like running the gym. He was in charge of the gym, waiting. He was waiting for the kids to get done and everything. So we went in, and just a super nice guy, super
Hmm.
friendly. Yeah, yeah, really good dude.
Yeah.
For sure.
Happy he's in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we did good today, and I appreciate you coming on and saving the show. I mean, you was gonna come on anyway, but we were supposed to have another person, as you know, and he didn't show. But this was great. This was awesome, and I wanna first say, wish you and Arthur good luck next week. I can't wait for that fight. Are you anticipating a big crowd for that fight?
I've heard it's going to be sold out, or they've already
Nice.
sold out. Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah.
it's in Quebec, right?
Quebec City. Yep.
Quebec City. Okay.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. They've already sold out.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quebec, Montreal is one of the great fight towns.
Yeah, man. Montreal,
Going way back.
Quebec City's like 2 hours from here.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
2 hours north. But all of Montreal is a beautiful city. But Quebec City, I don't know how many big fights they've had there, 100%. But Montreal has had some tremendous fights over the years. I used to come back here in the 90s all the time. There was big fights here, the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. There was always big fights up here.
Right. So Leonard Duran, the first one was in Montreal, and I always think
Yeah,
back as a kid, the Hilton brothers.
yeah. I just was with Matthew the other day.
It's cool.
Whenever I come to Montreal, I always go visit Matthew and go eat with him.
He's in good shape. He's doing well.
Yeah, he's all right. Matthew's all right. Yeah, he's hanging in there. He's a
Nice.
good guy. He doesn't watch boxing. He's not a boxing fan. He doesn't know anything about boxing. He's just some guys, they just did it because they're good at it, but they didn't really like it. They didn't like the sport. But he's doing well. Yeah, Matthew's all right.
Cool.
So,
Nice.
all right. Well, hopefully, you think you could get Arthur to come on and say hello to us and say hello to the people?
I mean, it's possible, but we're pretty close. Usually this close. Probably not this close. Maybe next time we'll do it in advance.
Post fight.
No, after the fight.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about before. I know he's getting ready for the fight. They will definitely not.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like after you guys win this weekend.
Right.
Cool.
That's it.
Well,
all right, Ice. I did good. I didn't say Iceman for the rest of the show since Sock scolded me. So,
I said if he calls you Iceman, then John's have to call you Maverick or something.
But I appreciate you coming on, Ice. I mean,
Yes, sir.
Second time, you've been great. You're a great guest, and all I hear is good things about you. Like I said, I spoke to a couple of people today that know you. They say good things about you. So, I
appreciate it, man. Anytime. I appreciate it very much.
You. Yeah, and we appreciate you being on.
That's good stuff, man. Thank you.
The only guy that ever talks shit about you is Tommy Raynone. We need to get you.
Tommy got to give it in. He's an easy target though. So I keep digging in as much as I can. I'm gonna go on his page right now and bother him.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
Tag us.
Guys, all right.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. You too.
Peace. Good luck, Jim.
All right, guys. Okay.
Nice, man. That was good. That was good stuff, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
another good show, and I stole the show again, as he did a couple weeks ago. This was great. Apologize to the people that's watching. Rick canceled right before he was in the dinner. He apologized, right, Sock? I mean,
Yes.
maybe we'll reschedule and try to get him on another time. So see what happens.
Yeah. So all the trolls gonna have to wait.
All the trolls have to wait. Yeah, pretty much. Right? So
Yeah, man.
I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I really didn't want to. I was going to try to let you lead the way, and then I'll try to plug in here and there. I also thought, because, like I said, he's in a Facebook group that I'm in, and my name.
Oh, really?
Maybe he saw my name on the on the email, because my name is not a common name, and so I was like, damn, maybe he sees the email, he sees my name, and maybe he's like, this guy's a jerk. I mean, I don't say anything bad. I'm always respectful. But I
right.
Somebody questioned him in the group about what we were going to question him today, which was about the tweet that he made. And I wrote a comment like, but he has no problem, wishing a happy birthday to Kinahan. So I don't know if he's seen that or not. He didn't acknowledge it, but he's in the same group, and he acknowledges certain comments and stuff. So I thought maybe he saw, Thomas Dillamuth, right? And then he saw maybe he might have backed out because of that. I doubt it, because, like I said, I mean, you showed me the thing. He sincerely apologized, so we'll try again. So.
Well, I mean, this is his opportunity, because one thing is to tweet something, and the other thing is to actually come out and verbally say.
Yeah.
You write anything down, you tweet something. There's a reason behind it. So it was his platform to not necessarily defend it, but to give us some, backstory, if you will.
Yeah.
So
and then in full, like after he says that, we could then say and say, listen, in our opinion, we just think it's bad taste. Like, it's just in bad taste for you to do that. Like, no matter what what your opinion is. But yeah, we basically wanted to hear his side and see why he would say something like that, and then relate it to a previous tweet. So I mean, hopefully maybe next week, we got some things lined up. Well, I got some stuff I was thinking about also. I'll talk to you behind the scenes, but for the first show of the new year, I thought we did pretty well. Ice was great, and he provided you a great content once again. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what we
appreciate
do.
everybody that stood around and with us. William Old School, thank you. My man Clarence is up in here. And I saw BC Brian Corbett. Appreciate you guys sticking around. And so Mr. Shelton was here a little while ago. So yeah, BVO, he hit me up. I feel bad. I did drop the link for him to come on, and but then he broke out. I told him to come on, but he hit me up, and I don't know what happened to D Free. Maybe he saw us talking, and maybe he didn't think. But I was going to let them on and ask questions as well. I have no, Ice is cool. I spoke with D Free before, so, but I'll hit them up later. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys, sticking around and watching. I appreciate that. Don't forget to like and even share the video. Ice dropped some new stuff, and he got a big fight this week. Arthur got a big fight. It's a big. Callum Smith is no pushover. So
yeah.
My man William.
Sure.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk football today. Thomas, remember my question? What was the question about LSU? They won. They came back and won that game, that bowl game, right? They were losing. Did they win the bowl game, LSU? I think they came back and won. They were losing, though, I think. Thanks, Clarence.
I don't know, but I'm really looking forward to Monday. I think we are going to have a really, really good game. I mean, the game's always good when you have two good quarterbacks, and that's what we're going to have here for Michigan and Washington. So,
okay. Oh, they got a new defensive coordinator? I didn't know that.
Who did?
LSU. Because the defense was terrible this year. They had a great offense. They had a championship offense, but the defense was just bad. No, I have no idea who he is. I haven't paid much attention. I mean, I'm looking forward to the championship game. I hope Washington wins. As personal reasons for that. But honestly, if I had to pick a winner, I think Michigan is going to win the game. I think Michigan is going to win by 2 scores. I think they're going to be too physical for Washington, and I also think that Michigan played their worst game of the year and got a win. So I don't expect them to play another game like that with all the mistakes that they made. So, and then I see my man Brandon here. He's an Ohio State fan. I know he's rooting for Washington as well. He don't want to see that team, up north win. And he says, let's talk about the Cowboys. I don't want to talk about the Cowboys, Brandon. They're only good at home when the refs are in their pocket. Brandon is in Ohio, but he's a big Cowboy fan. So yeah, that's my man, the Mets man. But yeah, man, I appreciate everybody coming through. Saki, got anything to say? I know it's late, and you want to get out early. I got a baby shower to go to. He's going for. Wow, I can't believe this. Go Michigan, Big Ten. I'm shocked. There's no way you can be going for Michigan.
That's
nuts. Don't let anybody else see you say that, because I know that's like a sin for anybody from Ohio to say that. Wow.
That's a surprising remark.
He hates Michigan too. I'm shocked. But yeah. So, like I said,
nothing really much to add. I'm glad, that we have something to look forward to tomorrow. Virgil Ortiz, see how he looks. And
I believe there's a football game tomorrow too. There's an NFL game tomorrow, right? Is it Jacksonville and the Colts? Not Houston and the Colts tomorrow, something like that.
If you give me 30 seconds,
there is a night game. I'm almost positive there's a night game, and I think it's of relevance too.
Well, we have the Steelers and the Ravens. It looks
okay. Also, it's two games. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Texans and Colts.
They play the 4:30 game.
Yeah.
And the Colts and the Texans, which is the best game, 9-7, both teams. Both teams playing for something. The Steelers are favored by 3 because the Ravens are going to treat this like a preseason game.
Yep, they already announced that Lamar's not going to play.
Right. So Colts, Texans, interesting game.
That's a
the
tough
Colts
game.
kind of overachieved all year. Both teams kind of overachieved.
Yeah.
I've been behind the Colts the whole year. And then of course CJ Stroud having one of the great rookie campaigns of all time. Yeah. So excellent matchup.
He'll get MVP votes. He's not going to win MVP, but if they make the playoffs and win the division, he'll get MVP votes. I mean, he's not going to win, obviously. But,
Well, they normally when they do that show now, right? They normally have 3 guys that they invite. I don't think he's going to be in those not 3.
Okay.
But he definitely has Rookie of the Year. It's not even a debate.
Lamar has to get it hands down.
They like giving it to a quarterback, but McCaffrey is the most important guy probably. I think his numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And how much better he makes, that team. The players around him. Because if he's not around, I think Purdy has to do more than what he's asked to do. I'll leave it at that. And then I guess who's the third candidate? Is it Purdy or
Purdy over Hurts now, right? Because of the Eagles, the slide. Even though it's not really yes and no, their defense has been terrible, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Dak is up there too. Dak has had a nice second half. He's
had an excellent year.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
It's a weird year, it's a weird year. But I think you're right. I think Lamar will get it. He's a captain of the best team in the league.
Yeah. And remember, coming off that big, then he was holding out, and he got the big contract, and he showed out after getting the big contract. Usually, you get paid, and you don't show out after you get paid, and so
yeah. And you know what? He's still going to have a lot of pressure though, because he's been, to quote another Hall of Fame, he's in spotty in the big spot, Mikey.
Mike Francesa.
As Chris Russo would say, he's been spotty. He's got a lot to prove, but it's going to be hard to beat them at home.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good team to beat them at home. If they, because they only have to win 2 games now, right?
2 games.
2 games. So, and at home, and that style of play, and I mean, you got to say something about the culture that they've built in Baltimore. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, they'll have a hiccup here and there, but they're just always good. Not too far off like your Seahawks. You guys, like, you're never embarrassed you
I'm
guys have
embarrassed.
built.
Their defense is terrible. I don't even want to talk about Seattle. Worst
Yeah,
defense in the league. We talk about Philly's defense.
but it's
Seattle's
not like you're a Jet fan. You know,
that
you know what I
is
mean? Like it's not embarrassing to wear your gear.
yeah. I mean,
Or a Raider fan. I'm not gonna stick my nose up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like you're not an embarrassing franchise.
yeah.
I mean, you talk about models of stability. The Ravens, the Seahawks. As much as I hate them, the Steelers to an extent. You know, they're uh, they're really well um, run teams, and they have that one common thing, and
Yeah.
that's a head coach. All three of those guys have been there. What, 15 years?
Yeah, pretty much. Pete since 12, so about 12 years since
12
2012,
years. Okay.
2011, 2012,
Right.
2011.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
but anyway, let me go. My battery's about to die. I got to go bring it and charge it. So, but Sock, thanks to you. Thanks for always hooking us up here. With the talent. Besides us, of course.
Right.
So, shout out to everybody here. Shout out TWT, the family. We'll see you
Great
guys
weekend.
next week. All right, we got a big weekend of sports, capped by Monday night with the college football championship. See you guys
Peace.
next week.